A good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. And I thought that I would come in today to talk about the current state of the economy and what's going on in my view, in terms of what I'm seeing recently. And I also want to remind you guys, if you want to see financial news and commentary from a Black perspective, join us at theblackfinancialchannel.com. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. So anyway, hit the thumbs up button as you come in, and hello to everybody on Instagram. Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins. Follow us on Instagram, or you can follow the Black Financial Channel on Instagram. So here's what I wanted to hit on today. First thing I want to say is this. I was kind of paying attention to which businesses are shut down and which ones aren't, and how people are reacting to the whole quarantine situation. And I will say this, I think, and you can tell me if you agree or not, I think that people are starting to become less afraid of, all the scary things that they're talking about in the media. I think that the panic and the fear is still there in some spaces, but I think that we're getting to the point where people are just sort of, seeing things different. They're kind of getting used to a new normal. I don't think people are running around, in constant fear that they're going to catch something. I went to the grocery store the other day, and I didn't see a lot of people wearing masks in the grocery store. I saw a couple of people, but a lot of people didn't wear masks. And it might seem like they were being risky and taking too many chances. But again, I reiterate to you, if you actually go look at the math and look at the numbers in terms of the numbers of people that have actually, gotten an infection, and then those who died, this very small percentage of people that died, and compare that to the size of the country, you're talking about, I think less than 1% of the population even has the infection. So that means that if you wanted to get it, you probably would have a hard time getting it. If you said, I'm just gonna go around, I'm gonna sneeze, I'm gonna get close to everybody, I'm gonna hug everybody I see, I'm gonna give them kisses on the cheek, I'm going to be just coming by and shaking hands with everybody, you probably still aren't going to get it. And so, anyway, the reality is that I think people are starting to kind of calm down a little bit, not to the point where they don't care, they're not afraid, but kind of just relax a little bit. And in fact, I think, what was it? I looked up some data the other day, and I think they were saying that if you're under the age of 60, you have, if you're unfortunate enough to even get the disease, you have less than about a 1% chance of dying. If you're under 50, your chances are like incredibly small. Like even if you had it, if you're 30 years old and you have it, you're probably not going to die, right? The chances of you dying are very slim. And what the media does in terms of distorting the data is they'll tell you a story about one person who died, and you forget that there's 330 million people in the country who didn't die. They tell you about the one who did, or the 50 who did, or the 200 who did, and 200 seems like a big number. But when you compare it to 330 million people, imagine if somebody said, I got $330 million in the bank. I am worth $330 million. I got $330 million in the bank. And somebody said, well, I'm going to come and I'm going to break you today. And you say, well, you're going to break me. Well, how much money are you going to take? I'm going to take $26,000 out of your bank account. I'm going to take $26,000 and you ain't going to recover from that because I'm going to take $26,000 out. Would that make a difference? If I had $330 million in my bank account and somebody took $26,000 from me, would that be a huge impact, or would that be less than a drop in the bucket? Even $1 million would be a drop in the bucket. I could recover from $1 million. I could recover from 10 million. You take 10 million, I still got 320 million left, right? But you take 25,000, that's like dinner, like dinner for a billionaire, right? So my point is to say that I think that we have to kind of look at it in terms of the numbers too, not to say that the tragedy doesn't matter. And when people push back and they say, well, Doc, that's very insensitive. It means a lot to the people who are affected. I say, yeah, it does. But remember, there are thousands of other Black people who die from things that you didn't even hear about because the media does not advertise those deaths. So does that mean that you're not sensitive to all those other people who are dying from heart disease, diabetes, and gunshot wounds? Like, does that mean you don't care about them? No, you're paying attention to this because they're telling you, they're putting it in your face. What they're not putting in your face are the thousands of other people who are dying for a lot of other reasons outside of just this particular situation. So with that said, I'm going to say this. I pay close attention to Amazon. Amazon.com is really just doing business as usual. Amazon, I ordered some product. Has anybody, give me a yes or no if you have tried to order anything from Amazon recently during this whole situation. Has anybody tried to order stuff from Amazon? I'm not talking about, hand sanitizer or face masks or, or toilet paper. I'm talking about just, I ordered some coffee. Me and Alicia have this stuff called Kava coffee that we just love. We ordered from Amazon. I ordered some legal pads. I take lots of notes, so I keep lots of legal pads. I get my legal pads on Amazon. And Amazon, surprisingly, when I made my order, they were like, it'll be there in 48 hours, sir. Like Amazon did not skip a beat. Amazon, only difference is that usually most of my orders would come the next day. Now, instead of coming in one day, they come in 2 days. That's it. Amazon's like, okay, we're going to pretend like we're sensitive to what's going on. We're going to pretend to be as scared as everybody else, but we're about to go out here and get this paper. Now, does that make them evil, corrupt crooks? Possibly. It could. I don't know. You can say what you want. I mean, Jeff Bezos is worth $130 billion. Scratch that. He's worth $113 billion now because he lost a lot of money when the stock market dipped. But so a lot of people are going to automatically think you're evil if you have money, right? But maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's something to the idea that you can acknowledge the fear and acknowledge the risks and acknowledge the terrors in the night and still live your life, that you don't have to sit still and hide in the house because you're afraid of catching something that only affects 1 in every 700 or 800 people. Like, right. So and even out of that 1 in 700, that person is probably going to be okay. So I think that what's going to happen eventually is we're going to go back to a new economy. It's not going to be the same because once you scare the hell out of people, they're going to stay scared for a long time. So you're not going to see the economy recover the way it should. Unemployment is going to be high for a very long time. You're going to see a change in terms of how people are making their money. Some industries are just going to disappear. Some jobs are going to disappear. Some people ain't never going to go back to work because they had too much fun being at home with their kids. But what's going to happen is we're going to go back to a new normal. And what they're going to realize is something that if I was sitting next to the president and he was interested in listening to me, I would say, look, I think in a few weeks, here's the deal. Here's the reality. $1,200 ain't enough. $1,200 is barely enough for people to get by for 2 weeks. You can keep people in their house out of fear for $1,200 for 1 month. After that month is over, you need to have a plan B. There must be a transition plan. It means maybe put on your mask and your little gloves and keep washing your hands. But we about to get back to business because people got to eat. You can't keep people locked in the house and starving to death and think that that's going to work out okay. What's going to eventually occur is you're going to have the emergence of a few things. First of all, you're going to have people just start ignoring the order. They're going to be like, man, you know what? If I got a 0.1% chance of catching a disease that's probably just going to make me cough for 3 days, I'll just do it. Remember, 80% of the people that catch it, the small percentage of people that get it, 80% of those people are just, under the weather for 2 or 3 days. They're not dying. They're, so I think there are people that are going to be like, look, you know what? I grew up in the hood. I grew up in South Central, and I knew every day in South Central, there's about a 1% chance that you might get shot that day. But I got up and I still went to work every day. I didn't just hide in my house. People in South Central don't hide in their house. South Central's changed a lot. And I honestly think NWA kind of gave y'all a bad reputation a little bit. But still, we know some of that was real, but it didn't stop people from living. It didn't stop people from going out and doing what they had to do in order to feed their family. So I would tell the president, tell people to put on their masks, put on their gloves, stay away from each other, wash your hands. All the senior citizens, stay home. If you're over the age of 70, stay your ass at home. Unless you just brave like that. If you brave like that, you still have, even if you're a senior citizen, your odds of catching the disease are very, very low. In fact, actually, where the mortality rate starts to spike is with 80, 85, 88-year-old people. So if you got an 88-year-old grandma who wants to get up and go to work every day, tell her she needs to probably stay home and chill. But your 62-year-old grandma is, while the risk is a little bit higher, she's probably not going to die. What also is interesting is when they talk about, pre-existing conditions. If you don't have pre-existing conditions, your chances of dying are incredibly, incredibly low. So what I'm pointing to is I think there just has to be a balance, because I don't think $1,200 is enough for people. Now, if you were writing checks, if you were giving every person $3,000 a month indefinitely, okay, then shoot, I'd stay home. Why not? Just stay home and, watch Netflix and play Xbox and kick it with your kids and do whatever. And that's fine. But $1,200 one time is just not enough for people to survive. So the other thought is that I think that what's going to happen is you're not just going to have people starting to defy the orders and just go out regardless, because they're not going to be scared for long. You're going to have a black market emerge. You're going to have a new economy that's going to emerge. Two things will happen to the economy. One, it's going to become more digital. Everybody's using Zoom now and connecting. I connected with my family for Easter on Zoom, and we all had a great time together on Zoom, and it was cool. And you can do business on Zoom. I meet my relatives every day on Zoom, my team members on Zoom. We've been doing this. We've been doing this. We were doing this years before all this happened. Now it's kind of weird because everybody's doing what we've been doing. But when we got to the point where we had enough money to actually have a physical office where we could all go to work every day, like in the traditional sense, we thought about it and we said, going to work every day really ain't that much fun anyway. So why don't we just all stay home, and work in our pajamas, and my bed is like 20 feet away. So I get tired, I can go in there and take a nap. I don't want to go to the office, and I especially don't want to go to the office when it's full of white people. No disrespect. If you white, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but y'all kind of shitty people to work with sometimes, because y'all got that whole racism thing, man. It ain't fun for me. I don't enjoy that. So I think a lot of folks are going to stay home, and I think that's the right move. I think that what this situation might have done is kind of pushed us and nudged us forward into the right direction. I tell you, my fiance, she used to have a basic routine where she would get up and leave the house in the morning. I had my office. I built a man cave in the basement. We have a pretty nice sized basement, and I made an investment in the basement. I didn't spend any money on the basement. I made an investment in the basement because it's going to increase the value of the house, right? So I said, let me get some money, and it was a decent amount of money. I didn't spare any expense because it wasn't an expense. It was free. It was an investment. Investments where you get your money back in this sum. So I dumped a bunch of money into the basement, made it super nice and comfortable, put my office down here, and I said that's where I'm going to be at. Okay, and then so now for her, she's more traditional. So she has a job at the university. So she would get up in the morning, we give each other a kiss, drink our coffee, talk a little bit. She would leave and come back 8 hours later, and it was good. And then she would go see her clients at another office. Right now, since the quarantine, she does all of that, and we still kiss each other in the morning. We still drink our coffee together, and we still part ways. But instead of her going out of the house, she goes to another office in another part of the house. So she goes into her little space, and in that space, she's doing exactly the same stuff she did before. She's seeing her students, she's teaching her classes, she's meeting her clients, she's doing everything that she did before. And so she came and she told me, she said, I really like this. I like this. I want to stay. I want to keep doing this, because guess what can happen now? Now, in the middle of the day, we can take a little break and have lunch together. It's very easy to do. Or if we decide we want to go for our run in the middle of the day, we can. We just like, hey, babe, you want to take a little break? Okay, I'll take a break in 20 minutes. All right, let's go run. And we'll go run, and we get to spend time together. And that feels natural. I feel like that's the way life is supposed to be. I feel like, I'm supposed to be with the kids. I'm supposed to be with my woman, but I'm also supposed to spend time working to fulfill my goals and dreams and all these other things. Right. But you can do that. You should do that in a way where instead of we always have this crazy term that people use that I never liked, this term called work-life balance. Work-life balance. Meaning that, you're working so much that you're never with your family. So you got to have a balance and spend more time doing things for you, doing things for the kids, doing things for the family. Work-life balance. One thing took away from the other. You had to balance the two. Instead of looking at things in terms of work-life balance, many, many years ago, I actually started looking at something more valuable, which many call work-life blend. Work-life blend. Work-life blend is where, there's no sort of barrier between, when you're working and when you're just living. Like I don't, and that's why, when people ask me about my job, like, what is your profession? What is your job? I'm like, I don't know what my profession is. I know that I do what I love, and it works, and people like it, and I'm good at it, and I'm passionate about it. And it just blends with everything else that I'm doing. I have not worked a day in my life. I have not gone to work since 1992, since I worked at Arby's when I was in college. That's the last job I ever had. Since then, every day I'm just living, man. I get up and I hop in and I talk to you guys whenever, and I teach whenever, and I do business whenever. And when I get tired, I go take a nap. So I encourage you to kind of look into that, because I think that will make you happier. I think that will fulfill you more. Because if you add up, think about this, process this for a minute, right? You spend 40 hours a week on your job, that you get 2 weeks of vacation a year. That's 2,000 hours a year you're spending with a bunch of white people who hate your guts. And so that's 2,000 hours a year, which is 20,000 hours in a decade. Over a 40-year career, that's 80,000 hours that you spent away from your family. I don't think that's normal. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's going to leave you satisfied. So literally, if you can find a way to put yourself in a position where you can have work-life blend as opposed to work-life balance, it's almost like living to be 130 years old. You're literally giving yourself a whole nother life in addition to the life that you already have. So that's what I'm seeing. That's what I believe. And I think it's awesome that we're all kind of getting a chance to have this transition. But at some point, people got to have a way to make money, and we got to stop living in fear. I'm not living on that lower frequency. You know what? We all gonna die anyway. I'm not gonna be running around scared of something that affects 0.1% of the fucking population. Get out of here with that shit. No, seriously, it's just stupid. I can't do it. I can't do the fear. Excuse my friend. I didn't mean to cuss, but I cannot do the constant fear mongering. It is not fun for me. I'm not ignorant enough to get caught up in the theatrics of the Black political figures who are now using the racial disparities as a dog whistle to get you ready for the election. I was watching. I was on Twitter today, and no disrespect to Barack Obama at all. I think he's a smart man. But, I wish he would talk a little bit more about Black issues. I saw where he mentioned the racial disparity in the coronavirus, in the infection rate. And I was like, man, I tweeted at him. Not that he cares, but I did tweet at him. And I said, I understand. I respect the fact that you're saying that you have something to say about this, because this is an issue. But remember when Tatiana Jefferson got shot? He didn't say anything about Tatiana Jefferson shooting. The whole Black community was talking about Tatiana Jefferson. The Obamas didn't say a word. And then there were other shootings. There were other incidents that took place. They had Black people furious. When Gayle King assaulted the legacy of Kobe Bryant, the Obamas didn't have anything to say about that, right? Now suddenly, with this particular issue, he tweets something about it. I don't believe he was tweeting without an agenda. The agenda is we need to get Black folks riled up to vote in the next election. The best way to rile them up is to get them angry and scared. So I'm going to pop in and make my appearance on behalf of the Democratic Party. If this were not an election year, mark my words, if this were not an election year, I don't believe that tweet would have ever come out. I don't believe it would come out. And again, this is not a criticism of him in that regard. I'm not trying to attack. I'm not trying to go be nasty toward this man or anything like that. He can tweet about whatever he wants. But I kind of, as a person who can connect the dots, I can do chess, not checkers. I just had an issue with that. I said, this is kind of number one, sure, this is something worth talking about, but this ain't the biggest problem Black people have. For every one person who dies over here, there's 50 that died over there, and we ain't paying no attention to that. So while people think I'm insensitive when I say not that many people are actually dying from this, and also there's a lot of evidence. I actually put on my Instagram, which is the Real Boyce Watkins. I put a screenshot from the CDC's actual documentation on how to fill out death certificates. And one of the things that is not being discussed in media is that there is that they specifically stated that you don't actually have to test somebody to conclude that they died from the virus. All you gotta do is think that they might have died from it, and you could put that on the death certificate. Did y'all know that? Give me a yes or no if you knew that. Did y'all know that literally the doctor, any physician, nurse, or whoever, or coroner, I know someone I'm very close to someone who does autopsies, and so I talked to this person to get a sense of what some of the coroners are saying. Literally, yeah, she said that there's a joke. She said there's a running joke that if somebody comes in with a gunshot wound and they die, you just put they died from corona. If they fall out of an airplane, you write they died from corona. And I don't think it's that bad. I wouldn't say that it's that blatant, but when you get to the point where you're saying like that somebody can literally just look at you and say, I think you probably have it. And then they put it on a piece of paper. Well, that's not accurate information. That's not, and so in fact, it makes me think about China, how China lies, by the way. That's why their numbers seem to go so low, is because they're just lying. I know the government reasonably well, and that's what they do. They just lie. But China actually had a famine where 15, 20 million people died during this famine. And the reason that they died was because there wasn't enough food. Well, why wasn't there enough food? Well, there wasn't enough food because they were doing national reporting on how much food they had, right? So what happens is you have almost like a pyramid type scenario, right? You got the people that are actually in the fields, they report to their managers, the managers report to their managers, and then these managers report to the central government, right? So it's several layers up. So what was going on was each person at each level wasn't giving actual real data. They were giving numbers that they felt other people needed to hear, numbers that fit their agenda. So they were like, I think we have 1,000 bushels of corn. So we'll go ahead and just say 1,000, right? Didn't even count. Didn't even think about it. Just look, it looks like about 1,000. We're going to put 1,000 in here. So they had really bad data. And then when it came time to actually, put the foot to the fire and actually feed people, they ran out of food. They didn't have enough food to feed people. And so 15 million people starved to death because of bad information. So basically, that's what I see in this situation. A lot of 330 million people are being quarantined, scared half to death, put in a low vibration due to fear-mongering behavior because of bad data, because people are just guessing and estimating things as opposed to giving precise numbers. So one of the things, if I were president for the day, policy recommendations I would make is, number one, you can't report something as a death unless you test for it. You must have a test result to confirm what you suspect. You cannot just say, have somebody that, had pneumonia or, has bad allergies and just write, COVID on their, on the report because you think they might have COVID. I think number two, I think that as you open up the economy, a few things you could do. One, again, you apply all the rules, face mask, maybe even have people wear gloves. Why not? Wash your hands, stay clean, whatever. And then also you test everybody. You test, 100 million people and say, look, you cannot go to work unless you have a piece of paper saying I have a negative test or whatever. Right now, obviously, that would require like regular testing because you might get infected and whatever. But at least that would reduce the number of infections, and that would allow people to get back to work. I think people have to get back to work. I don't think it makes any sense. You might think that you're being sensitive by saying we should just stay home for the rest of the year. That's not sensitive at all. That is incredibly insensitive because you're not considering the fact that people are going to starve to death. And next thing you know, 14-year-old girls will be out selling vagina in the street because they ain't got no food in the house. Seriously. So I personally think that we should have a door open for people that are not afraid, that are like, you know what, let me just go back to work, man. I want to go get this. I need to go pay my bills. So that's my 2 cents. That's what I'm saying. Those are my thoughts. All right. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. And don't forget, by the way, I want everybody to become a stock market investor. 90% of all millionaires invest in the stock market. That's how many of them become millionaires. Definitely the self-made millionaires. The vast majority of self-made millionaires invest in the stock market. So I want you guys to at least start to emulate millionaires in your behavior. So there's a free training. Just go to firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. I'm going to mention that URL repeatedly, probably 10,000 times, because I want everybody to go there, start investing. And then level 2 is to invest just a little bit every week, some amount every week, and just be consistent. because that's how people become wealthy. So so go to firstsharestock.com if you haven't done it. And then in about a week or two, I'm going to do another survey. And I would really like to see our stock market participation rate to be very high, on the par, ahead of white people. This is a space where we're not trying to be equal with white people. We're not trying to be included with white people. We're not trying to blend in with white people. We want to be better than everybody. So that's what we're going to do. So let's make it happen. All right, guys. Let's see. Are you a millionaire? No respect, but just curious. I'll say yes, because I think that if I don't answer directly, you're going to think the answer is no. But that's not the point. The goal is not to become a millionaire. That's a good question, though. Are you a millionaire? Okay, let's deal with that. First of all, I need you to understand, as a financial scientist, that's what I am. I used to sit in my office for 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, including Christmas, for years, doing nothing but data analysis on financial markets and running statistical programs and all this other stuff. So I'm a financial scientist. I know this stuff very well. I know which people are going to be rich, which people aren't, just by looking at their behavior. The same way a doctor can tell you what's going to happen with your body if you eat certain food. And one thing I've concluded is, sure, it does help if I can say, yeah, I'm a millionaire. And maybe that gives you comfort in hearing what I have to say, because it does show that in addition to being a scholar, I've been a decent practitioner of what I talk about. But here's one of the things I want you to kind of think about as well. One thing I also observe is that Black people tend to really be pushed in the direction of excessive materialism, to the point where we don't understand that wealth doesn't just have the power to liberate you. It also has the power to enslave you. So I'm not a guy who's really going to talk to you about money so that you can become a millionaire or a billionaire. If that's what you want to do, then I think that's great. You can help a lot of people with it. But there are a lot of millionaires in the Black community who have no sense of purpose whatsoever. A lot of millionaires who are either going to lose all their wealth because they're financially ignorant. They never took the time to actually understand how to protect their money, or they went deep in debt, or they're just so lost and stupid that they're not doing anything good with their money anyway. They're just going and buying more stuff that white people are selling to them, like poor Floyd Mayweather, right? So, what I'm going to say to you guys is, you got to understand why you're doing this. And I can't tell you what your why is supposed to be. You know what your why is, but figure out what your why is, and then the what and the how will make sense to you. You don't have to be a millionaire to be financially free. I have seen people that make $40,000 a year who are more financially free than a lot of the millionaires I know. I know millionaires who have to get up and go to work every day because their bills are so high, or millionaires who are living a horrible, stressed out life because they made a bunch of bad financial decisions, or millionaires who are unhappy because they're in business with the wrong person, married to the wrong person, made bad decisions, have a drug habit, or have no sense of purpose about what they're going to do with their millions. Seriously, like a lot of athletes, for example, I wasn't surprised when I saw where Deion Sanders was saying that at the peak of his career, when he's making more money than he ever made, that he was suicidal. He was suicidal. And then you're like, how can a person be that rich and that famous and be suicidal? I know why. I believe it was because he had no sense of purpose. He thought that the goal of making money was just to have a bunch of fucking money in the bank and go to a bunch of parties and have sex with a bunch of women, drive fancy cars, and live in a big, gigantic house. Well, here's what happens. Here's a little secret about money. Y'all need to understand. There's a point where you make money and you get the house, right? And you get the car that you've been dreaming about, and you get the girls. I can say I have had all three. I'm not kidding. I've had scenarios where I've been like, wow, that is an amazing house. I could buy that house. Or, ooh, this car is awesome. I went to Hertz and I rented from the luxury section, and I could afford that Bugatti if I wanted one, right? But then it's like, I don't even want a Bugatti. Like, who cares? Like, that doesn't even mean anything to me, right? Or situations with I became much more handsome when I became rich and famous. I'll just say I used to be okay, and then I became handsome when I had money. The same woman who wouldn't pay any attention to you when you were a little scrub in school studying 10 hours a day is the same woman who will come to one of my speeches and wait in line for 2 hours just to talk to me for 3 minutes, right? Seriously, I've seen all of that. Just keeping it 100 with you guys. But what I will say to you is, that's not what it's all about, man. I'm not telling you what it should be about for you. I'm not saying your values should be my values. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't want nice stuff. It is nice stuff is nice. It's nice to fly first class and all this other crap, right? But I believe that you're better off in this journey if you have a sense of purpose. You know who you are, and you know why the power of wealth can allow you to enhance your own life and enhance the lives of other people. You know why how money has benefited me. I got past level one. Level one was the immature. Level one was, I want a nice car, I want a nice house. Well, okay, fine. Our house is big enough to where Alicia and I were like, yeah, we could afford a bigger house, but do we really want one? We don't need any more space. Like, our house is huge. Why move? What the hell's wrong with us to think that we got to have the biggest, gaudiest house in the block? No, we're happy with the house that we have, right? What wealth has done for me after I got past stage one, the house, the car, and the women and all that crap. Stage two was like, oh, wealth is awesome. I like money because it keeps me from having to worry about money. Like, I can go to the movies with my kids, and I don't care if the popcorn is $5 or in the drink, and if I want an extra bag of Twizzlers, if it comes out to $55, it's like, whatever. Okay, yeah, here's a credit card, right? It's nice because if we want to take a trip, we don't really have to worry about whether the ticket costs $300 or $500, right? It means that if I want to enjoy my life and spend time with my family, I can do that. I can take a day off and it's okay. The world's not going to fall apart because I stayed home from work that day. What else does it mean? It means, oh, here's the best part. I forgot. I'm a black man. I forgot about that part. And it means that I ain't got to take shit from white people ever in my life. It means I can cuss a white man out and know that I'm not going to lose my job. I ain't got to run around here hanging out with people that I don't like, being around people that I don't want to be around. I'm telling you, there is a lot of power in simply having the ability to say, kiss my black ass and get out of my face. Like, so money, I'm a believer in things like what they might call fuck you money. Fuck you money is having enough, resources that you can tell your boss, fuck you, get out of my face, and you still gonna be okay. So that's what I will say to you. That's what money. That question you asked, it triggered me. That question of like, are you a millionaire? I've seen it asked, and it's usually asked by younger people. And I think it makes sense to a point. You should want to learn from people who know what they're doing. And I know what I'm doing. But I'm just telling you, there's like so much beyond that mountain. And I think it's important to understand that, because I don't think you're going to hear this in a lot of places. You get in the media, all you're getting is this ridiculous materialism thrown in your face. These rappers, every rapper has the same formula. I study rappers like you study labs or rats in a lab. I study them because you go on shows like The Breakfast Club. I like to know what's going on in the culture when I go and I'm sitting next to Charlemagne and I bump into Gucci Mane in the lobby or whatever, right? So I like to know what's happening in the world. And it's a basic stupid formula. It's like it's a low vibration. My fiance is into metaphysics and spirituality, and it's what she might call a low vibration. It's basically this stupid formula. Like I'm going to basically show you a lifestyle where I've got some liquor, some weed, maybe some pills and drugs. I've got a really nice car, a really big house, some really pretty women that want to sit next to me, even though some of these dudes probably got every STD in the book, but so I wouldn't date a woman who was hanging out with guys like that. But whatever, I'm not judging. And it's just the same formula, just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And then the other thing too is it's like I got all this, not by being an intelligent black man, not by being a good human being, not by working hard and really trying to build something for my community. I got it because I know how to act like a thug, and white people are happy to compensate me for behaving this way. I got it because I'm participating in the great global minstrel show. I've been infected with the virus called coonery and buffoonery, and I'm spreading that virus to the world. And that's why I'm being financially compensated. So, I think that we really are in a cultural war overall. I think that a lot of what holds us back really is psychological, it's cultural, it's what's being fed to us, it's what, it's what we're kind of being, inundated with in media. And so I'm not going to sit here and, I think that just that question, like, are you a millionaire or somebody, like, I'm going to tell you this too. When you get more money, like, I don't really even like to when you really get money, people that really get money don't really want to talk about how much money they have. People that talk a lot about how much money they have are either people that are working over an insecurity they have because they used to be broke, or they are broke. They're still broke. They're either lying or they just got money and they're just getting excited about it. So they kind of do it like a Kardashian might do if she gets a new pair of titties. Your titties out everywhere and you just, whatever. Whereas a woman who's been sexy her whole life is probably going to dress more modest, especially if she wants you to pay attention to other parts of who she is and not just her titties, right? So a lot of times people that brag about money, like a lot of rappers, they're basically like Kardashians with a new pair of titties who are like, look at what I got, look at what I got. And, whereas people I know who really have money, who understand, number one, their sense of purpose, what their why is. Number two, they've gotten over the more primitive dimensions of why people chase money. They've had the nice cars and the big houses and all this other stuff. Now they're looking for something more meaningful in their life. And then three, they also understand the trappings that come with a lot of money. Meaning when Diddy says more money, more problems, that's really true. You attract really bad people sometimes when you have money. Like you attract beggars who will beg you for it. You attract people who will extort you, people who will try to rob you, people who will try to trick you out of your money, people who want to sue you over any little thing. So most people I know that really got money, they don't really talk about their money that much. I mean, you can see it. It just kind of oozes out. Like they just might happen to be wearing a pair of $400 shoes or they might happen to be driving like a certain kind of car or whatever. But most people I know that have money don't really want to talk about how much money they have. So really, you get to the point where even if people are running around saying, I don't think he got no money, I really think he broke. He really broke. You don't even argue. It's not like you're gonna be like, no, I ain't broke, girl. Let me show you how much money I get. Let me whip out some bands on y'all fools. Yeah, man. Let me pull out this money, homie. Yeah, nigga. Yeah. Like you don't get into all of that. I had these 5s and 1s because we did an event and we had to give people change. But anyway, like you're not gonna see me doing on my podcast because I'm not trying to. Like you don't want stupid people to know what you got, because next thing you know, your phone is blowing up because people are sending you their eviction notices on the screen. Do you know how many people? I had somebody said the other day, I said something like on my Instagram, I said, I just want to give a shout out to or to all the people who had trouble paying the rent this month, and just let you know that you're in our hearts and in our hearts and prayers, and we're thinking about you and things like that. And then somebody said, Doc, instead of just giving them thoughts and prayers, you should be helping them pay their rent. I was like, do you know how many people's rent I've paid in my life? Do you know how many people hit me up to ask for money? Do you know why I don't even answer the phone when certain people call? Because you get tired of it. It will drive you absolutely insane. I don't know if some of y'all may actually know what I'm talking about. If you're like the person in your family that makes more money than everybody else, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So my point is to say, this is really a maturity and a spiritual journey. I think that America is a country where the black man is trained to be incredibly immature and insecure. And I think that with that immaturity and with that insecurity comes this flashiness that will somehow make you think I'm better than what I am because I got a couple bands in my bank account. And so what I'm here to say is that you must understand, most important rule of wealth is to understand that most wealth does not come in the form of money. Wealth comes in the form of intelligence. It can come in the form of health. It can come in the form of well-being and happiness. It comes in the form of family. It comes in the form of achievement. It comes in the form of community responsibility. It comes in the form of being a great father. So get past the money, man. Like the money is just a tool to help you truly find wealth in your life. What in your life is gonna make you wealthy after you know that all the bills are paid? That's the question I want you to ask. And that's a hard question. That's a little bit deeper than I know. You got people out here that a lot of people talk about money and stuff like that and talk about investing and all that. And they're not going to get all weird like that, like I do. But that's just where I'm at, man. And I hope that this helps you. And I hope it doesn't sound too pie in the skyish, but I really think that when you find that sense of purpose, that's when you truly find your happiness. What I see with Black folks was really one of some of our greatest struggles just come in the form of low self-esteem, no sense of purpose, and just feeling, just focusing on the shallow things, majoring in the minors, as Dr. Claude Anderson says. So I want you to major in the majors. I want you to be smarter people after you're done, and maybe I can help you with that. So there you go. That's my 2 cents, and that's the 20-minute answer to that question. Are you a millionaire? It shouldn't matter if I'm a millionaire. The question is, are you going to be a millionaire? And I'm not just talking about how much money you got. Money is not what you think it is. Never overestimate the importance of money, but never underestimate it either. All right, guys, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. It's The Real Boyce Watkins, and follow the Black Financial Channel on Instagram. And also, if you want to learn to buy your first share of stock, I would like everybody in here to start investing. Please do that. Please do that for your family. Go to firstshareofstock.com. There's a free training there. It's firstshareofstock.com. So I'm out of here, guys. Have a good day. Thanks for listening. It was real. I'll see you soon. Peace.